Hey everybody, it's the Gootz, and I'm here with another Gootz Disney Pod. My guest this week, once again, is Dennis Rooney, and we're back with Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin from 2018. Dennis, how are you, man?
What's going on, man? How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Did you ever think you started doing comedy, you'd be the resident Winnie the Pooh expert?
Okay, so I probably asked you this last time. How did I wind up being the Winnie the Pooh guy? Did you just pick names out of a hat and match them to movies?
Long Island comic for Winnie the Pooh, and I was like, oh, he'll be good. And
why a Long Island comic for Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah. And I had my Keegan. There was another one in 2011, but now for the remakes, I wanted people to return. And I was like, I had a good time with Rooney. Also, my life kind of got fucked over that thing. So let's fuck it over again. So I said, well, I'll have Rooney back.
That's Rooney is a sign of change. Whenever I'm around, I'm an element of change. Things are coming. The winds are moving.
The winds are moving. So
So wait a minute. Am I Pooh or am I Christopher Robin, or like where do I line up in that?
I think you're a mixture of Pooh and Christopher Robin, like merged.
I'll take it.
So Rooney, you last appeared at the beginning of February 2020. What have you been doing since then?
Oh my God, that's pretty much right after we did that podcast. That's when everything went to shit, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When did you start quarantining hard? Because that's pretty much. I probably left your apartment and didn't leave mine then for the next 6 months or something. I was stowed away. What did I do? I certainly once comedy stopped. I don't know about you, but once comedy kind of slowed to a complete halt, I lost all sense of identity. I've been hanging my hat on stand-up for the past 10, 11 years, and I knew that, but I didn't know that if you took it away, I'd literally be like, oh, who am I now? Who am I?
I have to admit, 2020 was one of the best years of my life, and I'll tell you why. Because right when it all went down, I needed a break. I needed to kind of I was just so much bullshit, so much phony people, so much nonsense, and I was getting to the point where. And I'm telling people off right now, as you know, where I really was ready to rip some people's heads off because I'm a nice guy. I mind my own business, and when you fuck with me, and then and I think you're a nice guy.
Well, that's the thing about
what?
That's the thing about nice guys, like you and me. And we're not saying that oh, we're nice guys. How come we can't catch a break? It's no, we're reasonable, decent people.
Yeah.
But that's why when you upset us, you must be really being a dick or fucking up because it takes a lot for us to really get upset, I think.
Yeah, so when you're a nice guy and someone pisses you off and you come to them and you fucking pissed me off and this, that, people act like you've gone insane. I think they just expect us to be like, whatever. What? You fucked my sister and then killed her? Life goes on, and then
they think they're going to roll over us. They think that we're spineless. They think that we're not going to say shit. I told this story recently to someone where small-time producer, comedian, booked me on a show, told me I was getting 75. I mean, we're talking small incidents here, but just for example, told me I was getting 75, gave me 50, but didn't tell me he was shorting me. Mm-hmm. And I was yet to go on. So he paid me before I went on, but he shorted me. And I called him back over and I was like, hey man, you said 75, this is 50. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know, but we're kind of short. I didn't sell as many tickets, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's cool, and I understand that, but you didn't tell me that. You just came over and gave me $50, and I think you expected for me to just take it lying down. And, I'm going to need the rest of that. I was like, I'm not going up unless I get the rest of that money. Got the rest of the money, had a great set. Don't let them push you over, Gootz.
I had to do the same with money recently. My Natalie Cuomo, who's my friend, was told if you bring somebody, they're going to get 50. I get there, they told me it's a guest spot, and I was like, where's my 50? And I got it. I did get it. So it's
good.
Hard though. So I confronted two people in comedy. There's another person in comedy I confronted that I tell you about that have wronged me, that have kind of been very disrespectful. I confronted two people. Both times they kind of do this thing you need therapy. I'm like, no, actually I'm fine. You're the problem. You're the thing that bothers me, and I'm letting you know you bother me so I can feel better. I feel great. I was at the gym. I'm walking my dogs. I'm watching Christopher Robin. You're the problem. So I'm unleashing. I'm like, hey, you're an asshole. You've hurt me. You've disrespected me. Now I feel better. I don't need therapy. Yeah.
They feel festering over it, that it's consuming you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's no. I think about it. I put it on my to-do list. Got to confront this fucking guy. Got to have it out with them. And that's very healthy, I think. it's not good to keep that shit bottled up, man. You got a problem with someone, you don't have to be a dick about it. You can come at them reasonably, send them a text or whatever, but like you got to air that shit out.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when that's what I'm trying to do now, and people are not taking it the right way, and it's like, dude, I'm not crazy. You went out of your way to be an asshole to me, so I'm gonna call you on it. I'm not gonna, you know, it's like
people will rationalize their behavior any way they can, rather than just being like, yeah, I acted out of line one day, or like, you know what, I was a little drunk and I was out of line. People will never admit defeat.
I think, you know, like, you kind of try not to be like that when you start out in comedy, because you never know who's gonna like try to fuck you in the ass.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's like, okay, this guy's never gonna do anything to help me, or this guy sees me one way, and I'm not gonna be treated like this anymore. And do I really want to? And you have to kind of say, and I think I'm at that level now. I really didn't say anything to anyone for years in comedy.
Yeah. Keep your head down, mouth shut.
Keep your head down, and it's like, no, you can't treat me like this. You can't talk.
No. See, it's good it definitely is good to do for like your first few years in comedy, but eventually you reach a point where it's like, not that you're the elder statesman in the room, but you've been there long enough. Like you have a seat at the table of the scene. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to be walked over. You're not a 3-year, 5-year comic anymore. You know what I mean? No. You've been doing this long enough. You've proven yourself. Yeah, you can't let you get. People treat stand-up comics specifically so awful. Yeah. And even within the world of stand-ups treat other stand-ups awful. People at clubs treat stand-ups awful. It's disgusting, dude.
It's disgusting, and even with the person I confronted today, it was almost like this: you should be grateful you were here. And
oh my God!
You should be grateful you had me. You should be grateful I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be grateful I was in your life. Like,
I don't throw these out. I don't throw these out a lot. Yes, queen. Yes, queen. Tell them. Fucking yeah.
Thank you.
If we don't respect ourselves, who will?
Last year was a great year, and I got to tell you, I'm kind of rooting for the Delta variants.
There are some people, so you had one of the best years of your life. There's a lot of people who had terrible years, but there are other people who are like, yo, because of quarantine, because of blah, 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 I pivoted or I started working from home, had a great year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I took advantage of it, and I think that's why now I can kind of, you know, stand up for myself more, because I kind of like, and Bob DeBono had me on a seminar earlier today. And I was like, guys, listen, I think this is proven that if a nuclear bomb hits New York City and everyone's wiped out, but Roosevelt Island is you can live on Roosevelt Island, right? People will be producing bringers there. People will be doing mics there. It'll be like you just have to get on a rowboat and go to Roosevelt Island. And people will go to do comedy. So, like, once now we realize this, like, the world ends, we're going to keep finding ways to do this. No one really has any power over you. That's, you know, like, what are you going to do? Like, ban me from my fucking, if I have shows in my fucking toilet, you know, ban me from that? Like, fuck out of here.
Dude, I've told people, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, I've had some of my favorite sets, forgetting the past quarantine year, because you weren't getting a lot of sets in anyway, spots were limited, but in the past 5, there's something about, if someone's seeking out a driveway show with very limited seating in Astoria, those people want to fucking see comedy, dude. Yeah. And you let them know, you get them in, and I know you got repeat customers. It's great. Your shows are great.
Thank you. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. And like I didn't embrace Zoom over the quarantine, which maybe was a mistake. I don't know. I just didn't really. I was afraid, if I'm being honest. I didn't think I would be able to be as good as Zoom on Zoom. I
felt the same way, and then the money rolled in, and then
exactly. I should have done it for the money, but whatever. I cowered it out. But some people embrace it, and some comics who didn't thrive on stage suddenly were thriving on Zoom shows. It's the wildest thing. You know what I mean?
You know, that pivot. The thing with Zoom is I'm a purist. When the pandemic began, I was very much a purist. It's comedy, it's on stage, it's like
sure.
I was very much like that, and but then I started rolling with it because people did enjoy Zoom shows, and companies were willing to pay. And it's like I'm getting more. I'm getting the same amount, like the amount of money that they were offering. Me and you would have gotten a car and drove to Georgia. This is great.
We'd still be psyched, and meanwhile you could do it from home now, and I'm over here like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah,
I don't think I can do that.
Because you show up the computer, and then like you're kind of wired, and you're like, I guess I'll go to Rite Aid and buy candy. I don't, you know what I mean? Like you're like wired, like from doing the show, but like people enjoyed it, and the company's willing to pay, and I kind of hope it sticks around.
It's definitely a nice addition to comedy, if nothing else. You know what I mean? Even the fact that like a lot more outdoor shows got started up during quarantine. Hopefully those stick around. I like it out more stages. More stages, the better. That's my opinion. You can't. Yeah.
And the funny thing about Zoom is it's probably better for our mental health and our physical health to like get the same amount of money to do the show in your living room like we're doing right now, and then fucking go back to your room and jerk off. Like it's probably way healthier for us, and yet we all are like, even I'm like Zoom. Even though there's money, we're all like fighting against it, and it's like we are really our own worst enemies. We're like, let's go back to working for toxic people in clubs.
Right, I know. Opening up your idea of what comedy is—that's something me and a buddy have been talking about recently. Where like some people have a very narrow mindset of what stand-up is, some people have a very narrow mindset over what comedy is. But like, you know what? Take it like sexuality. It's 2021. You got to open up the fucking your eyes, baby. It's all good. Shows, sketch, stand-up. Whatever. TikTok, go ahead. Fucking dance on TikTok. I don't give a shit. Sure. I'm not going to be the guy who's like complaining that someone's doing impressions or shit. You know what I mean? I mean, I will, but I don't really mean it anymore. You know what I mean? I just like to bitch. So I'll still bitch about whatever. Someone bringing a guitar on stage. But at the end of the day, who really cares? I got to fucking keep my blinders on and try to do what I'm going to do, you know? Try to watch Christopher Robin.
Yes, Christopher Robin. Let's get to that. We watched Christopher Robin. I gotta tell you, because of all the drama, I started at 6 a.m. and I just finished it. Because of the.
Oh, what are you watching a little bit throughout the day?
Yeah, everything kept coming up, and when that thing I told you about earlier dropped, I was like, oh, okay.
I won't say too much, but I just imagine you going from like the childhood wonders of this fairy tale come to life to like furiously typing an angry email.
By the way, I'll just say this. That is Caroline's food. That was 8 years ago. Whenever I had a moment of peace in my fucking life, they show up. I swear to fucking God. I'll never forget. There was one day I was going to meet up with a friend, and she was going to give me like all her metal albums on my MP3 player.
Nice.
And they're calling me, yelling at me to come in because I got to work tech for the Andy Kaufman Awards, and I'm like, and I had to bail on my friend to get all her cool metal albums on the MP3 player. And then I go in, I'm there all night long. I go out drinking. They just that's my thing. It's like this. It's like, dude, I don't miss that. And they still do it today. They did it today. Winnie the Pooh.
They still act like they got you by the balls, and it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, but they always have been like that. They've always been like that. And even today, like I'm just like, this is such a good movie. I think this is the best Winnie the Pooh movie of all time. What the fuck is this? So before we get in more, what was your opinion of Christopher Robin?
All right, so I'll try to give as much as I can, because I did the same. I didn't watch it in small bits throughout the day, but I broke it up basically into 2 viewings, an hour and an hour. And at the end of the day, I don't know who this movie is for, because I feel like it's too adult for the kids, and it's too kidsy for the adults. Like, the movie starts out pretty much with, to my understanding, how the Winnie the Pooh movies and written books.
The one we saw, the movie begins with
the
Winnie Adventures.
Exactly, where it's like he's saying goodbye, I gotta go grow up a little bit now, and we find out in this movie that he's basically being sent off to boarding school, maybe being abused. By the way, they show like the nuns slapping the desks and shit. It got mad dark. Mad fast. Mm-hmm. He goes to boarding school, he comes home, his dad dies. He gets sent off to like World War I or II, I forget.
World War II, he loses his battalion.
Yeah, he like mad people. He has PTSD. Yeah, I don't think they show a swastika in this film, but it's heavily insinuated that this guy's fighting the Nazis.
Yeah.
And then it eventually gets into a story about a man who's lost his childhood wonder, and he's obsessed with work, and he even, I kind of liked it. It was curious, but like
I started out loving it. I thought the fact that he went through so much shit in his life was good and interesting, because it wasn't just like he forgot about Winnie the Pooh because he's a dick. No, he forgot about Winnie the Pooh because he fucking had to fight Nazis. Probably had to go to Auschwitz, pull kids out. His dad died young. You're right. He was getting raped at a boarding school.
Yeah.
Finding a bus. So it's like, And then he has to fire like all his friends at work. So he went through some real shit.
Aren't these ideas way too big for children, though? The fact that a company has to downsize and it all falls on this one guy? That's what I mean. It's like, who is this fucking movie for? Preteen?
Well, I kind of thought, like, I don't know what I thought, but, like, as soon as Winnie the Pooh gets in the movie, it goes all the way. It doesn't. I kind of wish he was more on edge for most of the movie, Christopher Robin. Like, I don't give a fuck about this Winnie the Pooh bullshit anymore. And then, like, there's a moment and he gets back to, because he's only, like, annoyed with Winnie the Pooh for, like a minute, and it worked, because Winnie the Pooh's like, did you forget about me, or did you let me go? And he's like, yeah, I guess I let you go. And that's, like...
Some very good dialogue. I'll give it that, where it's, like, for a guy who's talking to an imaginary bear, I guess, or a stuffed bear.
And the other characters are missing, so I'm like... Maybe every time something traumatic happened to him, he lost Tigger. Like, you know, he watched everyone die, so Tigger vanished from his imagination.
The time he had to execute 5 Nazis in a row, that's when Piglet vanished. Like in Back to the Future,
like,
he just
he's got to face his issues and all. But instead, they were all like hiding in a tree, and it very much felt like it was 2 separate movies. I feel like there's a darker version of this.
Yeah, no, you're right. Felt like 2 separate movies almost mashed together, and I want to see the R-rated movie. This was apparently the first PG Winnie the Pooh movie, as opposed to G, because there was like dudes like storming Normandy and shit in one of the opening montages, and I'm like, I thought this was a children's film. Where's Piglet?
Yeah,
what's going on?
Like, it gets so quaint and so Pooh-like so fast, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Because also, by the way, they did an incredible job with the CGI.
Yeah, they did. All of the animals looked incredible. They did do an excellent job. I can't knock any of the shots or any of the lighting or photography. All that was top notch.
I've seen some pretty bad CGI in fucking Beauty and the Beast, because that was one I did last week, and then Jungle Book, which was a couple weeks before that.
Was Beauty and the Beast trash, CGI wise?
Oh yeah, dude, the Beast just looks like. Did you know there was an '80s TV show, Beauty and the Beast, with Ron Perlman just in makeup?
No.
It wasn't by Disney. It was by like Paramount. It was about like them fighting crime in the sewers. But anyway,
you're lying. You're lying. Hold on. No. But it was not about them fighting crime in sewers.
Yes, he lived. Well, he lived in the sewers. I imagine he came out of the sewers to fight crime. But yeah.
The Beast went from living in a mansion of his own design or whatever to living in the sewers?
Yes, Linda Hamilton was a cop, and he was living in the sewers, and they fought crime.
I have to look this up once we get off this.
Yeah,
I have to look this up. I won't make you cover what you covered.
It was like big in '87.
It's crazy, especially the '80s.
Terminator 2 was the whole thing.
'80s were a wild year for media, man.
They approved
wild years.
Fucking great.
They did. I tried making a joke work one time about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I said, how much 80s coke were these guys on? Like, how many adjectives can we add to the... Like, isn't Mutant Turtles cool enough? They're like, nah, they're teenage. All right, what else? They're ninjas, too. It just keeps going. It just keeps going.
Dude, like Alf. I remember, like, I didn't know Alf was... I used to watch NBC on Mondays. They had sitcoms, right? I didn't know Alf was coming. And I'm like... 5. and the show starts and it's this family and I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be a new show, but like this must be like Family Ties. And then Alf emerges and then he's eating. You could never get Alf approved.
Doesn't he eat cats? No, I was a little like, I mean, I caught a rerun maybe once in a while, but I just got a kick out of seeing this puppet.
Yeah, like he liked to eat cats. It was just such a weird show to like put on NBC, but they just approved everything. I kind of felt like TV was better back then because it was like all this weird shit. Now it's all like reality shows, My Biggest Loser and all this. But
yeah, a lot of it is reality. I still think I caught a good time growing up. I was more of a Channel 7 ABC, Thank God It's Friday. You got your Sabrina Witch, shit like that. I also had a golden age of Nickelodeon where you had like Are You Afraid of the Dark? Who is the Asian detective girl? The Mystery Files of Shelby Woo.
Nobody talks about her.
The Mystery Files of Shelby Woo, man. That show was great.
Wong Woo, Ali Wong.
Wong Woo, whatever.
Ali Wong. The Mystery Files.
Now, I don't know. What are they watching? iCarly? The Sweet Life with Zach and Cody? Like, that's what my youngest brother watched growing up, and I was already like, this is trash. This is garbage.
I used to do a joke about how hot iCarly was at the prom shows 10 years ago. So.
Now she's like, she's all grown up and pot-headed out, right?
Well, they just did her. They're doing a reboot on Paramount Plus, so she's on that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's all I want. I just want a small role in a reboot. That's all I want.
Dude.
I'll be the new funky neighbor. Because that's
But yeah, so the CGI is fucking great, but like, I don't know. It just gets too. It gets too cutesy way too fast. It really does. I don't know how you balance. There is a way like to do a dark movie. I do agree. Like one thing I like about this movie is that the Winnie the Pooh characters stay pure. You know, they don't try to because like I don't know if you heard the controversy about Batman eating pussy.
I did hear about that. Is there actually legs to that?
What happened is they're doing a show, a Harley Quinn animated series, and they're gonna have a scene where Batman is eating on Catwoman, and DC Comics was like, you have to take that out. And
so it's an R-rated animated series, though, right? They didn't just throw this into okay.
These characters kind of. I'm not saying they need to be like fucking singing rainbow songs. It's Batman, obviously, but you do need to keep a pureness to some of these characters because they're mainly for kids. I got into Batman as a kid. You have to think about the kids that are being born today. Do you really? I love a gritty, realistic Batman. I don't need to hear about his sex life. Even Batman Begins, and I think this was on purpose, there's a lot of scenes where he goes up to a kid and like hugs a kid or saves a kid or gives a thumbs up to a kid. And that's a pretty dark movie. But I think it's important to be like, you have to remember, like, there's still kids being born that are going to want to experience the same wonder that we did when it came to it. And it's like, they can't do that if they're eating each other's fucking pussies and assholes. Like, it's just not going to happen. I guess
I would want to see the context of it, but it feels, I'm almost positive it was forced. You know what I mean?
It is.
I doubt it was a natural thing in the storyline where all the writers are like, I mean, they gotta fuck now, right? It's the only way this can go. Because also, why not just allude to them doing whatever sexual proclivities? You don't need to show it. You don't need to know what specific acts they were up to. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know, but going back to Christopher Robin though, when you say it got too cutesy, whatever, I would argue it finally got cutesy. It finally became like the kids' movie it's meant to be. And I understand maybe they're throwing in some harsh realities for the parents to make, they always do that with kid movies where it's like, let's throw a bone to the parents, give some meat on it. Mm-hmm. But like, it's Winnie the Pooh. Don't overthink it. You know what I mean? It's fucking. I would have cut the war shit. Just allude to him having a tough upbringing and strict parents. I don't know why the dad dies does help him being an absent father hit harder, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I kind of also think like Christopher Robin should have been the asshole boss. He should have been like, he should have went full asshole. So I think the transfer, like Ebenezer Scrooge, because I think then the transformation means more. You know.
It would be an interesting way to go.
What?
It would be interesting to see him, like you said, as the boss, and he's putting all the pressure on someone, only for this poor guy to come back in Monday morning, and then for Christopher Robin to be like, you know what? I was wrong all along. I'll take a pay cut. You take a holiday this week. I think that could have worked.
He learns about friendship again with the Poohs and the Eeyores and all that shit. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's because I had my day interrupted, but I liked it, and then I did it, and then it just like fell apart at a certain point. It had me until the other characters showed up. Until they like started their expedition to London. Until they all like Rabbit and Roo, until they all those showed up at once. Now you lost me. It's certainly a lot. When you have all these cute. Talking animals. The way they showed up was very lazy. I feel that's where somebody else came in and wrote the script like, no, he's not going to hunt for them. They're just going to show up. And then, Well, I guess it's supposed to be magical, right? It's supposed to be... first of all, it's 100-acre wood. They shouldn't be finding anybody. These guys should just be lost all the time. No idea where they are. But they always find their way back to each other, I guess. I do like the fact that the woods was all fucked up because he's miserable now in life. I did like that. Yeah, it was cool. It was trippy. I do like the overall vibe of the movie, which is like, I've been giving so much thought, and I think a lot of people have been giving thought since quarantine, where it's like, I don't want to spend 40, 50 hours a week doing something that I don't care about for money. Like, I can be poverty-stricken, or I can be working a lot. But I think there's a lot of people who are still pretty poverty-stricken and working a lot. And it's like, it makes no sense. I'll just be poverty-stricken and have a lot of free time on my hands to pursue things. I think people are tired of working for assholes, and I think people are going to. I think people are having a moment where they're like, "All right, I mean, the unemployment is still going around. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till I find someone in something better."
Yeah.
And
Do you think there's a Catwoman moment? There's a storm brewing, Mr. Wayne? You're gonna wonder how you lived so fat for so long while the rest of us had nothing, or whatever she says.
Yes. Dark Knight Rises. Yes.
Yeah.
I think and I think because someone's like, well, they'll all have to go get jobs in September. I'm like, okay, but it's June, so people still have time to find something better.
I love that. First of all, because I do hear a lot about that right now. Where like, there's going to be a big change come September, though. All these freeloaders, blah blah blah. And I love you just did the Winnie the Pooh, where you're like, yeah, but it's June. What day is it today? I mean, what day is it? It's today. Oh yeah, my favorite day. It's June, baby. It ain't September. Let's figure this summer out before we worry about. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, obviously, because I don't make a full living off stand-up or comedy in general. But I make enough money where during the year of not doing it, I felt it. I felt it in my pockets where I didn't have that extra income coming in. And now that stand-up is coming back in a big way, yeah, man, I'm just ready to hit the ground running. I mean, there's been times in my comedy career where I definitely feel like I haven't been putting in as much work, or maybe not as much work, but as much time as I should. You know what I mean? I've never been the guy to hang out. And now that quarantine's over, it's like any free night I have, I'm dedicating to comedy. I can't. This is what I love to do. Why wouldn't I? You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm doing shows. I'm just being a little bit more selective. Like, they're never going to hear this. But New York Comedy Club came down with it.
You've gotten in trouble on other podcasts, Gootz. They'll never hear this. I love it. Well, that's Dennis.
I want to get past there. Please pass.
Me too.
But they came out with a thing. They emailed a bunch of people that they're not passing anyone for like 8 months or something. And these comics were sitting around being like, making plans like, well, in 8 months. I'm like, guys, just for now, consider that place gone and focus on places that will have you.
Yeah.
And like my friend has a show there, and it's like, okay, well, if they already know they're not gonna do anything with me, not that I'm not gonna run over there and do the show. You know what I mean? Like I want to focus on places that might do something with me.
Mm-hmm.
You get my point.
It's yeah, no, I get your point where it's like there's always the thing where they say go where you're celebrated. Yes. Which is the move sometimes. It can be a bad move because sometimes you only stay where you're celebrated and that might inhibit your growth. But if you use it smart and you say, I'm going to go where I at least have a shot, you know what I mean? These guys are basically saying, like, if you spend your time hanging out here, it's really not worth it. Like, we're telling you, it's almost a nice thing for them to do.
If there's we're passing everybody. Yeah, sure. I'll peek my head around. But it's like, all right, you have people. You obviously know what you want and what you're doing. I'm not going to bother you. I'm going to go somewhere. I think that's a good thing to be like, I'm not going to bother you. When you want to be bothered, I'll knock on the door and see what's up. But I'm not.
Sure.
It is.
It's also kind of a lie because if your podcast blew up tomorrow and suddenly you could draw, or you could at least like help promote things, they'd have you in a heartbeat. We know the game. I mean, listen, you can get past it, Cubs.
Robin t-shirts.
Yeah, right. That's gonna be my thing. I'm gonna change my name, Dennis Christopher Robin Rooney.
There you go. All right.
But like that's
that's true too. Like and that's the thing. You just gotta focus on yourself and watch these horrible live action remakes for this season and.
Bet on yourself. Invest in yourself because at the end of the day, if you get your numbers up, people will want to work with you. That's it. That's the end goal.
I'm at this. I got a show at the Stand, and I got my show here, and I'm doing Hartford Funny Bone. We're doing Hartford Funny Bone.
I'm looking forward to it. I have it up on my wall. Where is it? Hold on. What day? It's July 18th, Sunday.
Yeah, so we're doing a ton of stuff, and
I'm out there, man. I also feel like my stand-up is strong right now. I came out of quarantine a little shaky, but I'm ready. You put me on any stage, I'm good for.
I gotta tell you, who's helped me a lot is Hitler, and I'll tell you.
Is who?
Hitler. I'll tell you.
I haven't heard of him. Is he a new one on the scene? Is he a recently ranked up open micer?
Hitler's booking Caroline's.
Wait a minute, you and McGregor fought against him and Christopher Robin, I think.
Oh yeah, well he's he helped out. But no, so like I'm reading these books about the Third Reich because I'm doing this book project where I read a book a year.
You're a massive, you take in a lot of media, man. Not just movies, but you're reading. You're reading it.
Hold on, man. My friend keeps calling me. So I'm like reading the book about Hitler. And
it's one of the best things you can do for your stand-up. Is taking this especially
from him because he was so fucking ridiculous. Like you have to understand, he was Trump times 5,000, and not only did he win, he won big. He got everything he wanted, and it's insane. And how it all started was he tried to take over the country at a beer hall.
That's where his first speech was.
You broke up. I think Hitler got mad at you. What'd you say?
Pardon for that.
Rooney, you sound like
I'm still picking up. God damn it! I'm sorry. My apologies. I'm hoping you're going to settle in.
Okay,
I feel like Eeyore. I've leveled out. I've stabled out.
You stabled out. So what did you just say?
Oh, what the fuck? All right, I'm sorry, man. My shitty internet is ruining your podcast. I said I feel like Eeyore. Oh, I was saying, you said Hitler gave his first big thing at a beer hall.
Well, he tried, and it failed miserably. But why would you try to take over the country at a beer hall, you know?
Well, Germany, I mean, big on the beer hall. You know what I mean? That's probably like a town hall over there. I get it. The numbers are there. People are emotional. They're drinking. You get them to do your bidding if you get them fired up.
They're like, who here wants shots? Give me the country.
Yeah, right. But yeah, man, reading, especially, you're blowing through these books, and what you're doing the highest selling book per year. Is that what you're doing?
I'm picking whatever interests me. I look up the list of most popular books of the year. This one right now is a 1,700-page history of the Third Reich.
That's wild, dude.
And I'm enjoying it.
I just hope it doesn't turn you the other way. That's how people get started.
What?
That's how people get started sometimes. They're like, yeah, I was just reading a book project, picked up a 1,700-page book about the history of the Third Reich, and now I'm a white nationalist.
And now I've taken over the country and I have a dictator. But no, because, you know, there's a lot of material with him and what went down. And I know, you know, like I've written a few jokes about World War II and they've gone over well. So, you know, I feel like, and I've written a joke about Batman eating pussy, so I'm feeling pretty good. So
there you go, yeah, man.
I know there was this First and Second Reich. They're not that popular. The Third Reich kind of derailed the whole franchise, but they were.
You know, they say you get 10 years to write your first two Reichs, and then you got to write your third one too.
Well, the First Reich was like a millennia. The Second Reich was like 40 years, and then this Reich was like it just got a little bit. You know,
what do they say now? They're like Fourth Reich for like the next one's gonna be forever, right? Some shit like that.
Well, they should just reboot the Reichs and be like, we're going back to the First Reich. You know how like the new Halloween was just named Halloween?
Yes, I like that they can do that now. Bands will do that sometimes. Fucking Rancid they have 2 self-titled records out. I'm like, you can't do that. You get to do one self-titled album.
That's what I think they need to do with the next Reich. Just go back.
Just Reich. Yeah, I never thought I'd be talking about Christopher Robin and talking about so many Reichs.
So all in all, would you recommend that people show this movie to the kid?
No, absolutely not. I only watched this movie because you had me on for it, man. I wish you had me on for like some shit. I know that movie like the back of my hand, but I'm happy that you kind of put me in a situation where it's like, hey man, we're doing podcasts. You got to watch this movie, because I would have never watched it, but it was interesting. You know what I mean? It's good to expose yourself to things you might not be in love with. Yeah. You know what I mean? You gotta put yourself out there. You gotta expose yourself. I didn't get any material out of this film per se, but I might have, you know.
Look, you never know. Well, these live action remakes have been very weird. They're making
dude, this movie grossed like $200 million internationally.
I know, yeah. Well, people flock to these live action things, and none of them are good, but that doesn't stop it.
I'm the idiot where I'm sitting here going, who's this movie made for? I don't know, the $200 million that it made?
Yeah. I mean, this is better than Beauty and the Beast and Jungle Book. I'll give it that.
I didn't watch either of those. Did you see Lion King? Was Lion King as shit as everyone said?
I didn't see it. I'm dreading it. That's in a few weeks.
Okay.
I'm staying. I don't want to have to watch it twice. So I'm waiting till it's podcast day, then I'm gonna watch it.
That's fair, man. That's fair.
I have a feeling I'm gonna fucking hate it. Like I hated Jungle Book. So I'm glad I only saw it.
Yeah, I didn't even like the original Jungle Book really as a kid. You know what I mean?
Hey,
sorry, man. Not the bare necessities. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't really need that one.
Dennis, is there anything you want to plug?
Oh, man. Check out my other podcasts. I have two. One of them is kind of like this. We talk about movies. It's called Netflix Book Club. We watch a movie every week that's streaming on Netflix. Then we get together and talk about it. I'm going to force you to be on that soon enough because we're doing episodes.
Fucking tell him his boss.
And check out my other one, Almost Irish, which is just a little bit more of me and a couple comedian friends chopping it up once a week, what happened to us that week. So, yeah, check me out. I'm out there, man. Dennis Rooney 7 on Instagram. Hit me up. Give me a follow.
All right. And, guys, if you want to follow me, I'll be on Keith and the Girl. No, just fuck me. You can listen to me every week here. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, we've done all the Disney animated films, including the 2 Winnie the Pooh ones. And then we've done the Pixar films. And we're doing live-action remakes. Next week, Ray DeVito returns to do Dumbo, which I'm also fucking dreading because that was a 55-minute movie, and I think this one's 2 hours. So I'm sure they added like 97 backstories to every fucking character.
They really are banging out these live-action remakes. I didn't really think about it. Wow.
They're banging out. So Ray DeVito and me will be back. We'll be here next week to talk. Also, we're going to have a show this upcoming Monday at the Stand. It's all about the Rays. You can get a half-price ticket if you use the code Ray Show, so make sure you do that. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Ray Gootz, and follow the podcast, please. And subscribe. Gootz is in the pod. Dennis, thank you so much for coming back. You know, you've ruined my life once again, but what can we do?
Gootz, love you, baby. I hope next time I'm on, your house has a gas tank explosion or something.
That's probably what will happen as soon as I hang up. Thank you, guys.